Hi, I'm an Australian guy living here in Belarus, and I've got a pretty serious topic here today. And the topic is that I don't think most European countries, most Eastern European countries in particular, will exist by the end of the century. Now, I do say this out of great sadness because I like the world. I like people. I like that we have different cultures, different civilizations. We kind of look different, we act different. I enjoy this about the world, and it really is what makes traveling around the world and living in different places, what makes it really worthwhile and really valuable. And I do like this part of the world, and it's a shame about what I'm going to predict, but it's really difficult to disagree with what I'm saying. So let me go through what the problems are here. The first problem, and this is really where it all centers on, is the lack of children. The birth rate in Eastern Europe is very, very low. In most countries, the birth rate will be around 1.4 to 1.7 children per woman. Now, of course, a woman needs to make at least 2 children, right? One to replace her and one to replace the father. So because of this low birth rate, what we see is that the populations in Eastern Europe are already shrinking. And I'm focusing on Eastern Europe for 2 reasons. One is that I'm here, but the second is that it's a bit of an anomaly, it's an outlier, because typically lower to medium income countries don't have this problem as much. Typically what we find is that as incomes in a country go up, that the birth rate starts to fall. Already the birth rates in the east of Europe are possibly slightly lower than in the west. They're kind of similar, but I would say on average maybe slightly lower than in the west of Europe, despite Western Europe having higher incomes. So over time, as Eastern European incomes rise and start to catch up a little bit with the West, we can only see the birth rate going down by even more. And that gap, that birth rate gap between West and East, will become even larger. Secondly, we have government bribery. Governments are really paying off people to have children, especially here in Belarus. The benefits of having children here, the financial benefits, are considerable. Women get 3-year paid maternity leave. Now, it's not a huge amount, but it's for 3 years. Also, assistance in buying an apartment. If you have 3 children here, and it wasn't that long ago where 3 children was considered a small family, you get a 70% discount off of your apartment. And also, even as having 1 or 2 children, as long as you don't own an apartment already, you again get a considerable discount from buying an apartment. Plus, there's many more other financial incentives in place. Now, despite all this, despite having low incomes, which usually means a high birth rate, despite having considerable financial assistance from the government, we're still seeing nowhere near enough children. If you do go and look at the data, the birth rate data on ex-Soviet countries, which is essentially what I'm talking about today, what you'll notice is a massive drop in the 90s. Because of course, in many of these countries, Russia in particular, but also other countries in this area, there was absolute anarchy, right? So there was no place to be having children. So the birth rate just plummeted. Now what's kind of happened since then is it's recovered slightly, maybe to 1.5, 1.7, depending on the country. What we're seeing now though, including here in Belarus, their birth rate kind of peaked in 2013 and now it's coming back down again. In Poland it's still rising a little bit, but it's so low, it's 1.4 children per woman. There needs to be a 50% increase in births just to keep the population stable. Finally, of course, as we globalize more and become more and more mobile and feel less attachment to our motherlands, we will move more, and people will move for small pay increases, for convenience, and for small reasons. So we already see this in Eastern Europe, a bit of a brain drain. A lot of people, not a lot of people, but a small number of often smart, ambitious people are leaving the East and headed to the West. So all these factors lead me to think that birth rates will plummet in this part of the world over the coming decade or 2. Let me run through my arguments again. 1, incomes are low. Low incomes mean high birth rate. Incomes will rise, so birth rates will fall. Now, people will say, I don't have enough money to have children, but of course, all the data makes a lie of that. Again, as incomes in countries go up, birth rate goes down. Within a country, the more money you make, the higher income you have within a country, the less children you have. This is a golden rule everywhere. Second of all, government incentives. These are maxed out. Governments are spending so much money on this stuff to try and get people to have children. And typically what happens when this kind of policy is introduced is that there's a little bit of a spike, maybe for a year or 2, and then the birth rate starts to fall again, right? So these things are kind of novel, they have a short-term impact. It's pretty obvious the issue isn't actually money. And finally, lots of young, smart people will leave this part of the world and go somewhere where they can earn more money. They're desiring higher material standards of living and less interested in keeping the customs and traditions of their own culture. Let's be honest, I'm not exactly being controversial here, right? You already look at the data, more deaths, less births, population shrinking, all the reasons that I've just stated that suggest that the birth rates will keep falling. I'm looking at Moldova. I feel like Moldova is like the latest stage of this. They have a birth rate of 1.2 children per woman. They only have 4 million people, of which more than half don't live there. They're working and earning money in Russia, in Romania, in Italy, et al. So this country is going to fail, right? You can't expect Moldova to be sitting there on its current trajectory. If nothing changes, we keep going how we're going now, a country like Moldova won't exist in 50 years. It's just not going to. There's going to be no one there. And quite frankly, it looks like the rest of these Eastern European countries will not be far behind. Again, I don't want this. Like, I want all these cultures to survive. I would love them to survive. I want them to survive. But it just doesn't look like it's going to happen. Now, I'm going to get really controversial, and I'm going to look to the west of Europe, because in the west of Europe, what bureaucrats and politicians have decided is best is that instead of trying to replenish the stocks of local people, simply replace them from countries where there's a surplus of births. So at the moment in Western Europe, what we have is this kind of replacement. We have the local population, the indigenous Europeans, are kind of going down in numbers, and they're being replaced by people who are from other parts of the world and have, of course, different cultures. We are seeing in the West that there are a lot of parties, political parties, that are platforming on the idea of having no or less migration, and these parties are doing very well. Of course, there was one just in Italy and one just in Sweden the week before that. So we're seeing this kind of disconnect between what the locals want and what the politicians and bureaucrats want. So I don't know how this plays out. I feel like we're in a very turbulent time, and it's not really clear what will happen. But what will happen here, for sure, is that the number of Europeans, both East and West, will continue to fall. And this is reality, right? The European model, whatever it is failing, right? We're not having enough children, nowhere near enough children across the whole of Europe, right? This is a universal thing. And of course, when you say Europe, it really means nothing, because most of these countries have very little in common other than they look kind of pale in the skin. Otherwise, their cultures and customs are very, very different across the continent. But nonetheless, Europeans, their civilizations at least, have failed, right? They're failing. They're not doing the one most basic thing that you need to do, right? If you want your civilization to continue, you need babies. You need to make babies. You need to have a system and a culture that supports the idea of having babies. And simply in Europe, well, obviously this is not the case. And of course, there's other parts of the world where this is also happening. Indeed, Eastern Asia is the most obvious. Korea has a birth rate for 2 years in a row, a birth rate below 1 child per woman. Korea is just going to collapse as well. Most of the ethnic Chinese states, such as Singapore, are headed in the same direction. Lots of juicy discussion to come out of this one. Do hit me up in the comments section below. Do be careful. Listen to what I said, right? I noticed that with controversial topics, people don't even watch the video and write some ranty comment that's not even related to my video, right? It's just like, what are you doing? So if you're going to make a comment and you want some interaction with me, watch the whole video, please, first, and understand where I'm coming from with this. If you enjoyed this video, then please give a big thumbs up, like. It lets me know that you like this kind of content. If you are subscribed, I do thank you. If you're not, why not? Just get your finger and hit that subscribe button. I have some B-roll footage for you guys. I'm just leaving Green City Shopping Centre. I'm in the suburb of Kamenaya Gorka. And I'm going to go for a bit of a street walk through some of the apartment buildings, or the regions with the apartment buildings on the streets there. I'll just leave the shopping centre first. Suss this out if you like. About 1 minute till I exit the premise. So we're out in the, well, it's the far west in terms of the metro is concerned. There are more suburbs headed west, but this is stop 223 on the red line. Kamenaya Gorka. And it's very much it's a normal suburban place. Not fancy, not rough, just kind of normal, kind of working the middle class kind of thing. You don't have a lot of scungy areas in Minsk, to be fair. This is kind of middle of the road, normal kind of an area. A little bit off the beaten track in a sense, just that, well, no foreigners live out here, that's for sure, and I think definitely what limited English levels there are in and around the city centre and maybe to the inner north, there's much less again here. Let's go through the spinner. Spinning doors, it's hustle, hustle, hustle. And I've got to figure out which way to go, because I don't know my way around out here too much. I don't really come out this way, so I'll just get out to a bit of space here and work out which might be a good direction. That side looks a bit boring. A bit more going on down there. I wonder if down here and to the left might be a good idea. While we're here, I'll just walk this way. See what we find. So it leads down to a busy train station. That's the metro, right? Whenever you got that little right in the middle there. I'll find my finger. There. That's the little metro sign there. You know, it's a metro stop. So yeah, this way. See what there is around here. It's going to be a lot of apartments. Konechna. But I reckon I might even go under on the other side there. Let me just have a squeeze on this side there. Yeah, it's a bit boring down here. I think we go down that one, which will mean there's good density, isn't there? A lot of density. A lot of people living in a small area. Just makes it so much easier to service people cheaply. Things like anything from internet to transport, just general infrastructure, just drops the bills, drops societies. The resources required by society to provide basic infrastructure drop when you have this kind of density. Alright, try to navigate the crowd here. Should go on the right side. Always on the right side in Belarus for this. See how it works? They're on the right, we're on the right. And no one's walking into each other. Friggin' brilliant. Except for this rebel. Oh. Alright, so I'm going to drop under here. Walk through the underground here and come up the other side. Just have a stroll for 5-10 minutes. Just have a bit of a chat to you guys. Just show you more of the common areas of Minsk, you know. Nothing too fancy down here. Just life as it is for the average Minskian. You see there, Minsk Metropolitan Station. Come in a Warwick. Dark. You can tell it's just it's maybe 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. Getting close to it. So you kind of got the ends of commuters coming through. Still pretty busy down here. Got the whole lot of babushki, dedushki selling Sveti Etel. Meat store. Bucha. Kuzna. Alright, we'll keep going straight. We'll actually pop up here. I reckon this is going to be our most interesting street. Because we are in the burbs here, right? Like, we've got the little hub here where the supermarket is. Sorry, shopping centre of Green City. In addition to that, you've got obviously the metro here, a bit of a hub situation. Stuff to buy, etc. And then the metro itself, a few shops sprinkled around the metro, and then you just got suburbs where normal Minskians live. So let's have a squeeze. As I say, foreigners don't live out this way. Foreigners live more in the city centre, near the Mega, in and around the university, around Victoria Square Monument, and in the city centre, kind of near Oktoberskaya station. Pop out here and it's a bit cold. Not gonna lie, a little bit nippy out here. So we've got a lot of, I'll direct your attention to the sides of these buildings. You can see those high buildings there, so just if it's not obvious, there, and there. Some kind of art, because these buildings are a bit drab. Let's zoom in here. Like, they're not putting a smile on your face, and they're not supposed to win a beauty competition, to be fair, but the bit of drawing on the side of the building there makes things a bit happier. They're in decent repair, but it's just the nature. You've got a light green building. I mean, it's not going to age well, right? As I say, they are in decent repair. They're not going to fall over or anything. And inside, they're nice. Inside, these are nice, but sometimes on the outside, they can look a bit worn. People care more about the inside, which probably makes sense, right? If you live there, what do you care more about, inside, outside? It's going to be the inside, isn't it? So here's a little casino thing here. As I mentioned before, there's quite a lot of little mini casinos. I don't even know how many there are, but there's a lot, man. There's a lot around. Just kind of small little ones here. What do you think about casinos? Are they a good thing for society or not? Because they kind of shut them down in Russia. I believe there's only one operating casino in Russia. So a lot of the Russians come here. And the president's left the casinos open here to try and get that revenue coming in. It's a tricky one, isn't it? Because it's a bit of a... it gives you a bit of fun, what have you, but ultimately it's not very productive, is it? It's not creating anything. I suppose it's creating emotions or gambling, I don't know. Something. It's not like a zero production. Who's to say what's better? Playing blackjack for an hour or going to a movie? I guess. But anyway, I'm not a huge fan, I have to say. I'm not a huge fan, but then, what are you going to do? Shut them all down. If you shut them all down, then what do you shut down next? Oh, we don't like this, so let's shut that down. It's kind of a difficult one in terms of making these kind of board decisions for people. Also, a lot of Chinese come here as well. You probably know that Chinese go to Macau for a lot of their gambling needs. Also in Australia, we're famous for trying to lure them in as well. Fly them down to, Crown Casino in Melbourne, near the city centre there, just south of the city centre, across the Yarra River there. That's famous for trying to fly some Chinese high rollers down. You can see what they've done with this building here. They've kind of tried to grade the colours. So they've kind of got like a brighter yellow the first few levels, then a cream, then a brown. Try to give it that kind of blended look. Done the same thing here with the green building at the top there. I'm not sure it's a good idea. I see what they're trying to do. They're trying to make it less drab, give it a bit of energy. I'll see what they're trying to do. I'm not sure if it's very effective or not, is the only question mark. Yeah, it's a tricky one what you do. Just try to make these look a bit nicer. As I say, every apartment I've ever been in Belarus has always been quite good on the inside. But just on the outside, you can see the rendering makes a big difference on the corner here. I'm going to see that there, it's rendered. Looks a lot more attractive than just glass and whatever that is. The rendering really helps. The rendering is a bit of a pain in the ass because you get a little crack in it, then you got to try and fill it in with some cement. Imagine getting a bit of nice little crack down the side of that wall, trying to paste it up with cement, repaint it. It's not cheap, is it? They're not. These things aren't gold mines. You've got to be realistic about the value of them. But it's interesting here because there's no real bank loans here. People just pay cash, and as a result, no one's ever under any pressure to sell. Right? Like now in the West, rates are going up rapidly, and I have still a mortgage in Australia, and I'm like, geez, this mortgage has gone up a lot in the last little bit. But if it became too much for you, you might want to sell it potentially. But here, it doesn't matter. You just kind of hold them, and the prices of apartments are very, very stable as a result. Probably a good thing in that respect. That one is a positive thing. So you can just see the sidewalk here. Just concentrate what's happening in front of me. You see there's these seats all the way up for people to sit on, chill out. This building looks a lot nicer. Kind of better repair. See, they're trying to do different things with the textures there. It ends up looking a bit messy, doesn't it? By the time you have each person maybe having a slightly different colour, that person's removed their windows entirely there. You can kind of see there, removed the windows entirely. Ends up looking just a little bit scrappy. A bit scrappy. Not too bad actually, this one. There's a lot worse ones, believe me. This one's actually not bad. I take that back. There's a lot though in the city that are kind of look like they're falling over. This one looks great. This is very nice and modern. Very good repair, very good condition. That one's really nice. I might even, let me see what my options are here. If I can get across anywhere or not. I'm only that far from the metro. I'm already 10 minutes in and I want to double back. Actually, you know what? I can cross under there. That's what I'm going to do. Actually, I might even just walk into one of these. Let's just walk in. Let's not get run over by this guy. Let's walk into one of these estates. See what we've got on the inside. So we got this on the outside. I notice this one's got some bars on it. On the windows. Here. You notice that's unusual. You notice all the other ones don't. This is simply the chance of someone breaking in is between 0 and 0%. Still. I was just in the shopping centre there. I was doing some filming for another video and I got up to go to the bin. I just left my phone there on the chair with my gimbal and my selfie stick. It's like no one's going to touch it. I would have happily just walked into the restroom and just left my phone sitting there. No one's going to take it. It's just not on the menu. It's not on the menu. It's funny, when you do live here for a while, you become a little bit careless. So we have in the middle here a bit of grass. Pretty usual setup in the centre here. In the middle of the building. So you got buildings circling this, and in the middle you have a little yard, universal yard here with some kids' play equipment. Pretty standard. Pretty standard setup, different entrances. And in the middle some flat grass area. Obviously parking around here as well. And when they set this up, there probably wouldn't have been much need for parking. So now they just kind of wing it and just kind of park on the sides here. So yeah, very typical. It's just like a bit of a sandpit or something here. Well, it's a sandpit there, obviously. Some basic kids' playground equipment, some grass, just the usual. As I say, bins over there. Pretty normal central shared yard. Very efficient use of space. Great community feeling as well. Little table there, not sure if that's used for kind of a picnic or something. Yeah. But yeah, this is very normal for this region. I'll just keep walking. I'll just see what else pops up. But yeah, very typical for this part of the world. These kind of communist built country cities. This is what you have. And as I say, it's not bad. It's not bad. Trying to get the best of both worlds. Because again, that population density does help drive efficiency. Really frees up resources. And I contrast it to a really sprawling city like Melbourne in Australia. It's good because you get your own land, you get a bigger house, you get more space, that's cool, but then everything becomes congested, you're so far from anywhere, transport becomes expensive and inefficient. The internet the same. It's a real problem. It's a real trade-off. Because transport's, unless you live in an inner city, transport's just unusable in Melbourne. I mean, buses might come every half an hour. Every hour on some lines. Trains are coming every 20 minutes. At different times of the day here, there's a train every 2 minutes. Which is very typical for dense cities, right? Dense cities with underground metros. This is very normal. Every 2, every 4, every 8 minutes. Depends on the time of day, obviously, but during peak hour, every 2 minutes, right? Maybe every 4 or 5 minutes during the day. It's more of the same. Heard the little Czechs say, babushka. I notice foreigners, we often say babushka. We emphasize the U, the fourth letter, the U. What looks like a Y in the English language, but it's pronounced U, like a double O. We often say babushka. But of course, it's the A that's emphasized, babushka, 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 babushka. Right, more kids' playgrounds. And as I say, just a real density. It's a lot of people in a small area. I'll walk up a little bit more. I mean, I've never been here, of course. I'm just wandering randomly. But as I say, the setup's pretty similar, right? Although it depends on generation, actually. If you do get a chance, if you're here, you do get a chance, I would go up to the National Library Lookout. next to Dana Mall. Stop number 122. Ulshud. Station's Ulshud. 122, the third last stop on the blue line. You can get up there and have a squeeze. I think it's on level kind of 23, 24, 25, around that range, and have a look out over Minsk, and you get a really unique view, and you just see the generations of buildings. Because you see here, like honestly, this is looking pretty scrappy. You got the little checks there. Just see the different kind of textures everywhere. Ends up just looking like a mess. Don't know what they're thinking. I mean, they're trying to. I can see what they're doing. They want to mix it up, right? Because you don't want that kind of brown everywhere. It looks so industrial and just So you can see what they're doing. They're trying to mix it up. So I think they've got the right idea. But ends up just looking scrappy. It's a tricky one to know what to do with this. And you even see like some of the frames there are white, some are brown. This kind of stuff. People have their individual rights to do as they please in terms of their own frames for their windows, but of course for passers-by it looks ugly. So you got that private right versus public right trade-off, which is a common one. Just keep walking under here and see what's here. I'm going to guess more apartments. Oh no, there's nothing. I'll walk under and see what I see. Looks like a larger yard there. I think we might have found the end of something. It has that feeling of it. Oh, there we go. Big park, bit of sport going on there. I was just thinking that what they're missing is somewhere for the kids to really get out and run around. It's fine when they're 4 years old, they want to go on a swing or something, but when they're 10 or 12 or 14, you want to get out and have a bit of a run around, right? So there's a big local kind of sporting ground there. Kick the footy around. There's a little European football there. The boys kicking that around. More and more apartments. It's real. It's definitely very different to America and Australia. America and Australia typically have kind of sprawling suburbs, you know? Flat, sprawling suburbs, which kind of encourage you to never leave the house because your house is big, got lots of stuff inside, and it's hard to get anywhere. You know, the traffic starts to build up on these locals. I'm thinking of where my parents live. They moved to a greenfield estate 20 odd years ago, and the traffic up there is crazy now. Another mate of mine moved to the north of Melbourne, a suburb called Mernda, and he's like, mate, we don't want to leave the house on the weekend. It takes an hour to get out of the suburb. So you kind of have these bottlenecks, which are a problem of having such a spread out population. So what do? And of course you become car reliant because this is not efficient to run buses or whatever around, right? Because no one's catching them. So you have a bus every hour, but only 3 people on the bloody bus. So not only is it useless service, it's running at a massive loss. You're running the bus, paying the driver, all the petrol, you know, all the overheads you don't even think about behind running a public service like this. And it's a total waste. So, you know, these are the concerns of, I guess, nations and town planners and what have you. But yeah, there's pros and cons of both sides, isn't there? What do you guys think? What's better? A dense city like this where everything's kind of close and also people are close, don't forget. That's a big thing as well. These are more community orientated, although Belarusians don't often talk to each other much, to be fair. Not particularly social. They're not antisocial, like they're not against each other. There's not a feeling of animosity or anything. But they don't tend to be chatty to strangers, particularly friendly. But I guess most cultures aren't, to be fair. Americans are probably the ones that are known to be a bit mouthy, a bit chatty. I'll take a slightly different way. I can see the metro. Well, it's not the metro stop that I came up from, but it's an alternate exit point, I think. I can see that, so I'll go that way. Good exercise. Doing the street walking videos, great exercise. Get a bit of a puff on. That's another thing actually, you do, I mean in terms of the pros and cons of the different city structures, I mean this kind of city, you walk a lot, you know. you walk. Well, it depends what you're doing on the day, but you know, I'd probably walk an average of definitely more than an hour per day, that's for sure. Definitely more than an hour. And then you got the steps on the metro, and you know, in my apartment block, actually this apartment I'm living in now, which I've been in for maybe 6 months, it's only level 1, like the first level up. But the other 2 I've been in were the top 4 of 4 levels. Wonder, I'll go where that girl is there. So you get kind of 4 flights of stairs, which is good exercise. And you can kind of go up there, and I used to walk, as I'd walk up the stairs, I'd just do lunges. Go every step, lunge down, lunge down, lunge down, smash those glutes. On the way up, it's getting a bit dark. It's actually quite light, but the camera's showing quite dark. Actually light though. Well, not light, it's obviously getting towards dark. I'm going to go tonight and meet my buddy, and I feel like celebrating. I've had a very good week. I've worked really hard. I've made probably something in the vicinity of 40 YouTube videos, could you imagine? Across the week. I'm pushing myself to get the content out. Little secret, I'm probably going to leave Belarus next week. Well, not probably, I am. But I'm not going to announce it. I'm just going to keep releasing videos as if I'm still here. And I'll just come back at some stage, probably. Oh, where are we? Right, I'm going to go here and turn right. So I don't know exactly what this is. This obviously leads to the same metro, but I didn't come up from that. I came up from the one over here. Remember walking past the wind bet here, and also these decorated buildings. So yeah, I'm filming a whole lot of stuff, and then my intention is to leave for quite a period of time, maybe 6 months at least. And during that time I'll film in some other countries, and going back home to Australia for a bit. A few other places I need to go do some things. And I'll actually make some videos, comparison videos. So I'm going to make some videos here where I film the start of the video saying, hi, I'm in Minsk. 3 things I like about Minsk compared to, say, Melbourne. And I'll talk about them, and then I'll stop the video halfway through, and then I'll start the recording in Melbourne. So I'll have one video with 2 cities involved. That's pretty cool. Well, I think it is. I'm quite excited by my creativity. Hopefully someone watches it, of course. This is the last of the work traffic coming out from the station. We're getting to probably 20 past 6 now, so most of the work traffic's probably home. The dribs and drabs on the last few stations. So I'll catch a metro back to the city centre and a little bit more filming on the way home. And then yeah, go out tonight with a couple of buddies, and I'm not much of a drinker, but здравствуйте. Hello. Привет.
А можно посмотреть? Это Twitch? А, это просто камера.
Bye-bye. It's interesting that this is quite common actually, this kind of thing. They're very curious, very interested. What are you doing, foreigner? You're filming something. How does it work? They just came in, and you know, it's quite common. If you watch my videos, so if you watch the ones, I'm trying to mix them up a bit more because everyone's whinging that I show my head too much. So I thought I'll give the people what they want. If you notice a lot of my earlier videos, I'm walking around and I've got the camera on me the whole time. But you'll notice in the background, people start to wave and this kind of stuff. So yeah, that kind of reaction we got then is quite normal. It's on the stronger end of reactions, of course, but it's quite normal. I'll head down the thing here. Yeah, very... yeah, I don't know what it is about the camera. Something they get excited about Belarusians. It's like, oh, a camera. Oh, what's going on? Oh, he must be doing a YouTube video. Although no one ever asks, what am I doing? They never ask, what's your channel? Or, you know, socialized is this. Never. It's always this, socialized. Never. Just do a bit of a wave, like I did a high five. I'm not sure if it was on the camera, the high five. You probably hear the slap of the hands of that epic high five that we did. And his buddy wanted to have a look as well. and always very accommodating. So we want to go, oh there we go there, turn left. And we can see the entry and exit to the metro stop. And I might say goodbye to you. It's been 25 minutes of B-roll. Although whenever it gets to this time of a B-roll, I always think, you know what, if you're still watching, you probably want to just keep going, and I'm going this direction, so all I've got to do is hold the camera, so I might as well just keep it going. So I will. For now, I'll keep it going until I get on the train. As you can see, quite busy down here. Still, with that post-work traffic coming home for the weekend. It's a bit cold now, it's kind of getting towards the end of September. So those weekend data trips are kind of out of the question now, so people just kind of start to buckle down for the weekends. Rather than do those cheeky data trips, which is common during the warmer months, head up to the data for the weekend. Quite looking forward to going out tonight actually. As I say, I've worked hard this week and feel like planning, accommodation and flights and coordinating with people where to meet them and blah 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 blah. So all this takes time and effort, of course. Planning trips, booking them. Alright, let's try and I don't really care if I miss this train too much, to be honest. Let's see how we go. If we make it, we make it. If we don't make it, we don't make it. But it looks like we will. So we'll jump on and I'll press stop as I get on and